The Agricultural Mechanization for Smallholders Farmers of Ethiopia (AMS project is part of the Promoting Agricultural Productivity program of the development cooperation between Germany and Ethiopia. GIZ is implementing the AMS project in Ethiopia on behalf of the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development (BMZ) in collaboration with the Ethiopian Ministry of Agriculture. The AMS project aims to improve the working conditions in agriculture, to ease the work burden and modernize agricultural operations for enhanced soil, water and energy productivity and efficiency. From the experiences of the professionals that implement the AMS project, many lessons abound for future mechanization projects. As it commenced implementation in 2022, the AMS project entered a community deeply steeped in traditions, customs, and cultures that give identity to the Ethiopian nation. The Ethiopian civilization is rich with set community norms, customs, and cultures in many spheres of life, including agricultural production.
When I came to Ethiopia, very often I heard, why do we need agricultural mechanization? Yeah? We are having in these countries enough oxen and enough people, so let's continue with animal draft. And tractors are too big and the structures are not suitable and so on and so on.
We may not have foreseen the very deeply engraved cultural issues. Ethiopia is a country that is very specific about what kind of machinery comes in and succeeds. So we must see how to make mechanization for agriculture different, because it is different.
Fostering change and reforms in the mechanization of the smallholder communities presented the project with both successes and challenges. The challenges at hand, mostly compounded in age-old traditions, required the adoption of a holistic program approach that addressed the entire ecosystem of the smallholder sector.
Mechanization is broad. Is it supply chain? Is it value chain? In training, who is being trained? Is it ATVETs? Is it private training centers? Repair and maintenance people, short-term experts, gender issues. You can imagine when we are challenged to address gender issues of mechanization. When you bring women and youth into mechanization, they take over the production side of things, which is the heavy work. Because something magical happens when a machine comes, they want to do it. When the machine is not there, they let the women do it. So women move up the chain as they move from production to processing, to grading, to milling, and this is what has been happening.
Pooling strengths from partners in joint undertakings, the AMS project established cooperation systems and networks to facilitate realization of its objectives. Partnership building remains a prerequisite for the successful promotion of mechanization in future endeavors.
We have worked very closely with the colleagues in the ministry, Ethiopia Agricultural Transformation Institute, people like Ethiopia Agricultural Authority, which is a new entity, the regional bureaus of agriculture, the cooperative unions in the regions, and them being party to this journey.
For mechanization promotion to be fully realized in the smallholder sector, inclusion of mechanization in the larger national agricultural policy is essential. This is one area that the AMS project has made a worthy contribution.
There is a team working even as we speak. This team is made up of people from the Ministry of Agriculture, people from GIZ itself, people from the project, and they are developing the mechanization strategy. A new one, renewing what was done some 10 years ago, to now become the new mechanization strategy. And we're trying now to make this one like the reference point. It will become the Bible of how to build into the agricultural mechanization and agricultural strategy. The mechanization strategy will build into the mechanization agricultural policy actually in the country. And that way, if the government does a good job, if the Ministry of Agriculture does a good job of linking those two, then our mechanization effort will have passed the baton from just being a lonely mechanization project to it will now be connected to the agricultural policy. And then that way, then naturally I imagine it will now generate government funds to make the mechanization service centers grow and be equipped and so on.
Bringing reforms to the business management culture within the sector meant challenging the set traditional ways of doing business amongst private providers and even the cooperative unions. Changing business models to improve service delivery and farmers' access to machinery is a goal yet to be fully realized.
Most of them work alone and they follow traditional business. The problem faced is first, to convince the enterprise that this capacity building business is very important for them. The challenge we face, most of them don't take it seriously. They took the training and they do their own business as usual. But they took something. Even now we have the same program that it's called the refresher program within 1 week, so that they can refine what we already assigned them to do.
With many service providers working in silo mode, the project advocated for cooperation between providers to enable a comprehensive service menu. However, this still remains work in progress. The public-private partnership models introduced have yet to be fully operationalized.
We did mention this PPP approach to come up together because, for example, one union has a center which is available for training, maintenance, and the whole settings. But beside near to them, there is a TVET who are trying to build another the same centers. But we gave them this option. Why don't you guys to work together? But nobody responds for that. But it has to be implemented. That way, it will create a demand, and also the service providers will be, confident enough to buy or to procure machineries and they give service.
One discouraging reality identified in promoting adoption of mechanization has been the short life duration of machinery. The country is littered with disused, yet serviceable machinery in both institutions and private homes. Competencies in machinery operations and maintenance remains low.
A lot of machineries have been imported, most of the time from abroad, but they're not working throughout the lifetime. A machinery which is supposed to work for 8 or 10 years, it will end up in 5 years. So most of this is caused by operator fault. They do not get any proper training, so even how to operate those machines is really a problem.
In response, the project introduced shorter courses and enhanced training courses to bridge the huge gap. Operations and maintenance training remains the biggest gap yet to be bridged by future projects.
I believe that people in the future will make use of it. And it will also open a door for people, with prior learning, what they call people with experience but with no educational background. So it will give a chance also for those people, to go and be tested and will get a competence certificate. Now, nobody even knows that the existence of short-term competency-based training. Even some stakeholders, it will be new for them. So it has to be promoted well. It has to be well supported by even the government, such type of approach. After all, competency-based training is, the end result is to give quality service. Giving quality service means better production. Even if someone who can do very good row planting, that means it will have an effect also in the yield.
Gender identities and gender task allocations are a major consideration when planning for project activities in the smallholder community.
I had never realized personally that it is so distinct. We have a demonstration where the children and the women are way at the back, just watching from afar. And we are encouraging them to actually come, where we have had to go and now get women engineers to come and train these women themselves, because we want women alone. youth alone, men alone. You know, it's a tricky cultural scenario. You know, because we have a lot of cultural, benchmarks in Ethiopia more than anywhere else in the continent.
Where women traditionally performed farming tasks, mechanization interruptions trigger social changes that necessitate dynamic programmatic responses.
Training sessions had to be modified to include women trainers.
Most of the organization structure are not let women in the sector, cannot attract the women in the sectors. And also there is safety issue. When we thinking about the agricultural mechanization, safety first is necessary. So when we find these safety materials, especially for the women engineers, it's not easily available. When we are going to find safety shoes for women, especially most of them have 36 size, their size, shoe size. So there is no safety shoes with this size. The first thing in my mind is doing a training need assessment. What the women are really necessary. And also as a mechanization trainer, if the mechanization trainer is a woman, it can create safe space for the women because she can raise her ideas freely.
Another challenge faced by the project was delayed commencement of implementation. This has left many envisaged activities unimplemented.
My team has been feeling like we are just about to get started now, when the project is ending. Fortunately, we had field offices in the regions where we now got our field coordinators to spend more time, with the farmers, using more days to prepare, for example, for a field day, so that by the time the day is coming, we have at least done all the cultural, all the many issues of getting the logistics done, invitations. The country is big. By the time you get people to come to a field day, so it has just been a lot of adjustment, a lot of pre-planning, a lot of involving the local community. As a project, I think what we could have done differently is probably give it a longer startup period so that we have actually at least the 3 full years of implementing the project. 2 years has just not been enough. And we are all very excited, we are all very, very psyched by the things we have been able to do, but now it's time to close the project. And it is really, really sad.
The project lacked own machinery and had to rely on private service providers or cooperative unions, a major handicap for the project.
As a project, we don't have machinery to use for demonstration in the field days. We rely on the machineries available with service providers and the unions. One challenge is probably you don't get the appropriate machinery with service provider or union. If you get, sometimes they are broken down.
The project developed a communication strategy that answered to advocacy and skills building strategies that future projects will find useful.
From the communication strategy developed, the tactics, the strategies are not one size fits all. It targets audiences, for example, what is best for farmers to reach out, what best for unions, what best for the ministry guys, even GIZ. As a corporation, they do have the communication strategy, I know, but for projects related to mechanization or similar projects, so if they follow the communication strategy for this target group, different strategy that develop in the communication strategy, they will benefit a lot.
The Innovation Fund that the AMS project implemented opened new avenues for the participation of local genius in providing homegrown solutions to tangible smallholder challenges. Full realization of the innovation's work remains as its implementation provided valuable lessons in project planning.
All of the innovators who own this fund have an implementation plan to promote at smallholder farmers level, to demonstrate their product at smallholder farmers level. Yeah? They will, once they finalize the prototype, before they go to the multiplication,
they demonstrate and promote their technologies. One is to promote their technology, to promote that we have this technology for you. The other is looking for feedback. If there is something to correct, since they are going to promote and demonstrate, since the end users are being aware of that technology, I am optimistic that they will look for the technology to own as long as their demand is met.
The process of shortlisting the 300 applicants to get to 9 or 10, 12 that got to the final stage took a long time. When you have innovators, it means there are startup companies that need money to get their ideas going. They have a lot of challenges in terms of accounting processes, in terms of the capacity that they have as small startup companies, being able to work the paperwork, to submit proper accounts so that the next tranche of funding can come. We lost a lot of time after they got the first tranche, and then it took almost 6 months to get to the second tranche. So the challenges like that, where maybe we could have done a better job of training the recipients of the funds in the early days, so that then the whole process could have moved faster.
The 2-year implementation phase of the AMS project provides useful insights from the implementation team for future projects of a similar nature.
What is very important is a strong partnership. So it means it starts on the national level with the Ministry of Agriculture and the Mechanization Directorate, where we are having a very good cooperation, working very closely. And for sure then also with the regional bureaus. At the same time, for sure, also working together with any other institutions, with AT-vets and so on and so on. This really, has a great impact and is also very important when it comes for the continuation of these activities.
The approach is participatory, using the local people so that they can mobilize, they own it as their activities, and so they normally execute accordingly. So this is how we empower them.
In terms of the number of farmers that have come to the field days, the demonstrations, something I must say, do these farmers now have access to mechanization services? Maybe not, but they are now aware. They now know that you can actually spray with a machine. They now know that you can actually put a knapsack sprayer on your back, but it is motorized. They now know that you can actually do row planting of wheat. They now know that you can actually bale your straw after you have harvested the wheat and store it for your animals, other than getting the animals to go into the field and so on. They are now aware that there is climate smart agriculture. There are better ways of doing the farming with smaller machines where you don't have to turn the soil every season. This awareness, it cannot be taken for granted. Going forward, I see a very good arena that we have created in terms of business modeling, in terms of creating a roadmap of where the next project that will address this aspect of mechanization will find a much better ground than we did. In the sense of, if you can get these public-private partnership model working, then you are already halfway there. During the project implementation period, the government has liberalized, for example, removing duty out of spare parts for agricultural equipment. The government is doing its part in terms of getting this national mechanization strategy going. So it can only be better. There's even been, just a few months ago, there was a liberalization of the currency, which may also impact the supply of spare parts and the repair and maintenance scene very much. More people will be able to access Forex, and then they are able to participate in the business, hopefully making things cheaper, making machines more available, making local production of machines or assembly more workable. So I see a quite a huge potential, a better potential than where we started. Yeah. Because if all these, if the system is not as broken as when we started, we have filled in these gaps that there were, then it can only be better going forward. I hope that the next support will be actually to equip these mechanization service centers, make them operational, get the private sector people hiring equipment from those places, let cooperative unions step aside from trying to offer services themselves. It's like it has been tried in many parts of the continent where government gets machines and says we are now going to give farmers subsidized services. That doesn't work. Over time, the machines belong to no one. They break. Just a bearing is broken, they are packed. So really, the future is in getting private sector to play its role. It's a government coordinating, creating a conducive environment for cooperative unions to own service centers and then run these public-private partnerships. And Awasa University model will remain an example of how it can be done. What the next project must do, and probably it's not even a project funded by a donor, it's actually the government itself. They should take this opportunity of the ground that we have created and then make it workable in terms of getting the mechanization services now available for the farmers. So there is a lot of hope and progress that is possible.